Hello everyone, welcome to video 2, which is accessing the district curriculum and resources, the district scope and sequence with resources in Eduphoria Forethought. So today what we're going to do is we're going to do a screencast and we're going to look at basically the scope and sequence and the resources that are available in Eduphoria for our SOPI districts. So I want to go ahead and close this PowerPoint out and I'm going to open up my Google Chrome, and this is the opening page for Eduphoria. So this is where you will log in once you have a login for Eduphoria and access to Forethought. In order to get access, you'll have to have your email, which is how we set it up, so it will be your SOPI email. Today though, you're going to see me log in with a different email simply because I'm under a test page in order to demonstrate to you today. So I'm going to log in with this email and I will insert my password and click sign in. And for us today, when you log into Eduphoria, you're going to come to this first landing page. And this landing page will have all the applications that you have access to. Depending on your access, Eduphoria will place the different applications in a different format. But we are going to be working with Forethought. Okay, this is a district-wide curriculum management and lesson planner. This is the Forethought application. So navigate to the Forethought application and click on it, and it's going to open up that application for you to begin working in. It is that simple to activate Forethought and to get started. Now, as we get to this application and this screen, there are going to be several things here that you see. And the first time you go into it, this is what it's going to do. We are not going to start with this page today. We're actually going to start with what's called scope and sequence. So if you look over here to the far left, all of Eduphoria applications has this menu bar here on the left. Eduphoria will always open up to My Planner, which is what this tab is here. Right below that is My Activities, and we'll talk about My Activities as we progress in the video series. But today we're going to talk about the scope and sequence. So you'll click on Scope and Sequence, and what this is going to do is it's going to open up this tab for you, and we're going to be able to navigate through what has been placed into the scope and sequence as far as our SOPI organizations in all of our districts and campuses. In order to navigate, what you have here is you have a list of everything that is optioned. Because we're only a high school, we only offer high school courses, that's all that's listed here. In order to navigate, you'll click on it and it's going to open up a list of the categories of classes that we have. Of course, career and technical education, economics, English language arts, ESL, and so on and so forth. There is a tab down here called non-program courses, which is going to be something that we do not use. If there is a course that's not listed in these areas, or we find a course that's not listed in these areas, it's probably been moved down here to non-program courses. We can move it up, reactivate it, and there's no problem. But either myself or your Forethought coach at your campus can help you do that. For today, let's start by looking at the English area. So I'll click on that one time. One time opens and closes it. So we're going to talk English, and here's all the English classes that are offered within our SOPI organization that's approved courses. We're going to look at English 1 first. As you know, or as you may be aware, we do have a SOPI curriculum framework. Those SOPI curriculum frameworks are duplicated here in Eduphoria Forethought. So if you're looking at English 1 here, you'll see that here are the standards for English 1. And below those standards, there are these other areas that you can open and close. I want to let you know that all courses that we have in Forethought have these embedded English language proficiency standards. That is because we have a high ELL, ESL population. And when you have these populations in your courses, we are required to address their language proficiency. And so you will have all of those English language proficiency standards listed under any class that you select within our organization. And as you can see here, it has all the standards for the English language proficiency. Now, just for navigation purposes, let's say you wanted to look at this particular one. You can click on it and it opens up. You'll see down here a screen with related resources. I will mention to you that the English Language Proficiency Standards don't have any resources associated with them. All of our resources are attached to a regular standard for a regular class. So as you click here, you will see that no related resources are coming up, and that is programmed specifically in that fashion. Right below that, you will see the first 9 weeks, second 9 weeks, third and fourth 9 weeks, and these are based on the curriculum framework that was established at the beginning of this past year. Also, there is this category here called Teacher Resources, and we will talk about that here in just a moment. So if I open up the first 9 weeks by clicking that plus sign, you will see here it comes up with a list of all the standards that are to be taught and to be addressed in the first 9 weeks of English 1. Okay, and you will notice that there's these little notes on the side, or these little buttons on the side that are color-coded, and some of the standards are color-coded. Let me explain what that is. If it is color-coded in green and or it has a green little symbol here, this represents what we call a readiness standard, meaning it is considered a readiness standard and it's a highly tested standard on the EOC English 1 assessment. As you scroll down, you'll see that this one is not shaded, but it has the little dot here. That does mean it's still a readiness standard. And then as we scroll down, you'll see yellow. Yellow means that it is a supporting standard. Okay, so here are some more green standards, which are readiness. Yellow is supporting standards. And as we continue to scroll down, you will notice that we have this one right here that is a green and white. It is considered a process standard. These little blue dots identify process standards. But right here, for example, English 1 Figure 19b, that is a highly tested process standard, and that means that it's tested in multiple dynamics, is what that means. So it's a process standard that will be addressed. If you're an English teacher, you realize that Figure 19b is a very highly tested process standard. And then you have these that are denoted with red. These are standards that are listed inside of the framework and are listed as a part of the curriculum by TEA. However, they are not tested on EOC. So we put them in there, and we put the red indicator beside them so that you know what those are. And you can simply open and close the units. Click once to open and a click once to close. And then the same thing is true with the second 9 weeks. You have your rating standards, your supporting standards, your process standards, and of course your standards that are not tested. So we can open and close those as we need to. Look at the third 9 weeks, same format as you can see. Let's go ahead and close that for now. And let's go, and fourth 9 weeks is the same way, just like all the other ones. Now, let's close fourth 9 weeks and let's look at Teacher Resources. Teacher Resources is a piece that we have added to the curriculum framework this year that's an expansion to what we did last year. And under Teacher Resources, we have some categories. One is called Instructional Activities. 2 is Classroom Management and Structure Resources. 3 is Literature Recommendations. 4 is Writing Rubrics and Essay Prompts. 5 is Performance Assessments. 6 is STAR Resources and Release Test. And the last one there is the SOPI Test Rubric and Technology Expectations. So let's talk about what the purpose of having these embedded into our district curriculum. One of the biggest goals that you would have seen in the opening video is that we wanted all the resources for high quality planning to be located in one place. So when you go to plan, you have a list of resources all available to you right here in order to create positive brainstorming, in order to get ideas, in order to think, in order to really have everything you need in one place to do high quality planning. That was the purpose. So if I click here on Instructional Activities, what it's going to do is it's going to open up down here right below where you have your list of standards. It's going to open up a list of all the instructional activities that have been uploaded to this particular area. And you can see there's a number of them. For English 1 and English 2, there's between 75 and 100 activities. So the other courses have a little bit more, some have a little bit less, depending on the information that I've received from various teachers, administrators, and also based on the frameworks that were developed last year. So the first one is listed here. It's called the KWL strategy, and when you click on it here, or the first one that's listed, it's going to open up over here on the right. And you will notice that it gives what it is, it gives the research behind it, it also gives you an example. And in this particular one, you will notice right down here, there's actually an attachment to this. You can actually click on this attachment and it opens up as a Word document. That .docx is a Word document. And you can actually open it up from a Word and have it and print it out, and you can use that directly from there and using it in Classroom. You don't have to create it or anything like that. There are several of these that are in here. You will notice like Quizlet, that was one that was from the framework that was developed last year. And this has a link. So if it has a link in here, you just click on the link and it takes you directly to that web page. There are some new ones in here that were not in the framework from last year. One of them, for example, is this close analysis reading activity. So if we click on it, it tells us there's an attached document. Let's open that attached document by double-clicking here. And it opens up here. Of course, it opens up inside of Eduphoria. That's what this platform looks like. And here is a guide to creating a text dependence question for a close analytic reading. And you can read through that, look at that idea, see what you think of that, and go from there. And you can look at all the ideas in that fashion and form as well, like annotating a text. Here's some descriptions of it. It also gives you the research behind it listed here. And so it is a place where you can go when you're planning and really start getting some ideas. Let's say you want to look at, you're going to be teaching meaning and tone. Well, here's a meaning and tone table. So let's just take a look at the meaning and tone table. Is it something we think that we can use or want to use? Maybe, maybe not. Here it is. Well, let's say I really like the table, but I don't want this. Well, I'm going to send it over to Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word. We'll edit it, print it out, and we're good to go. You don't have to create everything from scratch, which is one of the key pieces when we were developing to work on to get this, to make this accessible the way it needed to be accessible. And so you can look through there and see all the different resources that we have put there as far as activities. The next one is classroom management. Again, there are some resources here. The classroom management piece is a way that you can differentiate for teachers in order for those who are the first year teacher and those who are maybe tenure teachers. Tenure teachers may not be having a problem with discipline and classroom management, but very often, and what research tells us, is that first teachers need a little bit of support in that area. And this is a way that we can support by giving them some ideas. So, for example, appropriate curriculum is a management technique. A really strong management technique is to have a good curriculum that's accessible by the students and a good lesson plan. And that is what you can find here in this area. Literature recommendations. This is specific for English. But you have your fiction and nonfiction literature recommendations and your poetry and drama literature recommendations that you can click on, and they pop up in this table. They will pop up either in a table or they may pop up down here as an attachment. So you have to look, either one of those places is where they can be. The writing rubrics and essay prompts, I think this is a really neat area. This was kind of the vision of Dr. Hernandez in having these resources. And so in English and in all of our classes, we have the writing rubrics and essay prompts or resources. And so what you have here, specifically in English 1 and English 2, is this rubric for expository. We also have essay prompts from STAR EOC. This comes from the TEA webpage. You have a rubric for analytical, rubric for literary, rubric for personal narrative. Also, you have some commonly misspelled words chart, grammar and mechanics rules documents. These are scaffolding documents that you can use for your ELL or your special ed students. Here's a table of language frequently used in academic tasks. You have an ELL best practices document, vocabulary cognition and function chart, and signal words. A lot of these are there in order to provide resources for your ELL, your special ed, your 504, or any of your at-risk special populations who need some scaffolding. The next thing there is performance assessments. Performance assessments is also a new area. One of the things that performance assessments do is it provides you with a tool to assess the mastery of a standard. So for example, if we open up this first one here called Literary Elements, it tells you exactly what they're going to do. After reading a fictional text, create a visual representation, for example, a graphic organizer, analyzing or evaluating how the literary elements of plot, nonlinear, and linear character development and point of view contribute to the author's message. And it tells you what standards you're going to be addressing with this particular performance standard, what else you're focused on, this is your English language proficiency standards, and then it provides you with a rubric on how to grade that graphic organizer. So it's really cool. Every one of these has their rubrics. Every one of these has the standards and the ELPs and descriptions of performance assessments. And so as you're planning and you're looking for a way to assess, you can actually look at and see what performance assessments are listed here and how you can use them in the future. The next tab here is STAR Resources and Release Test. Also, another important place to put all your resources so that you don't have to go to the TA webpage or maneuver to the Lead Forward webpage or whatever. They're all put into one location. And so what you have here is you have all of your release tests and their keys for English 1. And so all of those are listed there. You also have your STAR Performance Standards, which comes from TEA, your Assessment Design. And I want to open up the Assessment Design tab because as you can see here, we have all of this stuff, but then all of these things are added to it. You have your English 1 Assessed Curriculum document from TEA, your blueprint from TEA, the test design schematic, your English 1 weighting chart, your performance level descriptors, dictionary policy. You also have your lined paper that you can print out from here and print out and have ready for your classes. All of those resources are listed here inside of this assessment design. You also have your TEAC snapshot that comes from Lead Forward. You have all of your academic vocabulary listed in this area as well. You have your frequency distribution charts for both reading, writing, and the test frequency for your process standards. And then also allowable supplemental aids. These all come from the Lead Forward website so that you can look at them as you're planning. And maybe you need to use a graphic organizer to scaffold one of your ELL students up. Well, we can look at what is an allowable supplemental aid on the test so that maybe we could set the visual graphic organizer or visual aid up so that they can actually use that on the test as well when they go to take their EOC. So lots of wonderful resources here as well. The last one here actually only has 2 items in it, and it's the SOPI test rubric. Remember, SOPI test is the evaluation rubric for your evaluation process on campus, from your goal writing to your walkthroughs, and then, of course, your evaluation. And so I wanted to put that here for you, and it's an attachment in order that as you're planning, you can see how an administrator or your evaluator is going to look at the lesson and what it's going to look like when they're in there evaluating your lessons, so that as you're planning, you can make sure that you're reaching those higher levels of proficiency, advanced and distinguished when you're delivering your instruction. Also, there is teacher technology standards. These are standards for all teachers that all teachers should be able to master in order to teach in a Texas classroom. These standards haven't really been talked about a whole lot within our organization, but I did want to put them here so that you can see what they are, and they're listed by standard. This can also be pulled down from the TA webpage, and a more descriptive piece of this is attached, but this is kind of a summary that's built into this tab right here. So that is how it is set up, and that's how to navigate through that. Of course, we have that also for English 2. When it pulls up, you have your teacher resources, and you have all the same things. I do want to mention to you that not all classes are set up exactly the same. We have spent, in the first phase of this rollout, we have focused on the EOC courses, English 1, English 2, U.S. History, and Biology. So if you click on English 3, you have some resources, but they look a little bit different, and this looks a little bit different because we had not bundled or put into unit our English 3. So when you open up the English 3 standards, you're just going to have all the standards listed there. There is no organization as to when each one is taught. So that is some decisions that you as a teacher will have to make in order to do like English 3. Same thing with English 4. But if you also look, though, we do have the teacher resources, but we have instructional activities, classroom management structure, writing rubrics and resources, and of course the SOPI tests and the technology expectations. And that's true of any of these classes that you open up from teacher resources perspective. I do want to go ahead and open up the, let's see, next will be science. So let's open up biology. Now, because it's a different content and because their framework looked a little bit different, their view here is going to be a little bit different. They have not only the English language proficiency standards, like I'd said, but they also have a first 9 weeks, and then they have units inside of their 9 weeks that they designed. So if you open up Unit 1, there are your process standards, there are your supporting standards, and there are your readiness standards. And that progresses all the way through the first 9 weeks, second, third, and fourth 9 weeks. They also have teacher resources. Their teacher resources do look a little bit different. They do have these same, they have instructional strategies, and theirs look a little bit different. For example, they have a biology corner. English doesn't have a biology corner, so they're specific to the content area. They do have a section called lab activities, and you can see there's a number of lab activities that are listed here. They have science project ideas because they do science projects in the fourth 9 weeks. The classroom management structure looks identical in all the classes because they're just ideas. Every class still has the writing rubrics and the resources because every class writes. And the thought behind this is that if you are having a freshman write in biology, why not use the same rubric that they're going to be graded on in English and on the EOC test as the same way to measure in biology or in another course as well. So all the courses have the writing rubrics and resources, and they all have the signal words and all the scaffolding documents, as well as the lined paper. So that if you wanted to use the lined paper, you could actually print that out from here, copy it, and use it as well. The performance assessments, of course, are specific to biology. They work the same way. It tells you that it's a high school course. Here's a performance assessment. Here are the standards it's addressing, the ELPs that it's addressing, and then you have your rubric here to be able to give it a grade. And so all of that is still there, just the same. The STAR resources and release tests. Here's all your release tests for biology and the keys, all the snapshots, all the designs. This has the calculator policy in it. The frequency tables are all still there, just like from English. And of course, this last one is identical to English. This is true in social studies as well. If you open up social studies, theirs looks a little bit different. It takes a little bit of time because there's a lot of information. But again, the first 9 weeks, and they labeled it into units. And then they do have teacher resources. Under teacher resources, again, they have the instructional activities, classroom management, writing rubrics, performance assessments. They also have project ideas, STAR resources, and the SOPI test rubrics and technology expectations. So all those remain the same. And again, you can just navigate through here by clicking on what you're looking at once and then closing it. We'll click on it one more time. If you're looking for, let's say, health, there's health 1 and health 2. You can open those up, and it opens up here in this tab, and so on and so forth. Just remember that if you're actually looking for the resources here, you open up teacher resources, click on whichever you're looking for, and they are listed down here at the bottom. Once you click on it, the description opens up here to the right. So that's a basic opening and introduction to the scope and sequence and how to look at the resources that are available, either through instructional activities, classroom management, literature, writing rubrics, whatever you're looking for, because the goal was to put everything that you needed for planning all in one place. You'll be able to see this through other ways, and we'll show that on future videos. But this was basically the introduction. Thank you so much, and y'all have a wonderful day.